behavior of a system which is nonlinear, multivariate from a linearized perspective. So today what we will do is that we will take an example and we will try to understand that how the quantitative method that we learned in the last class actually can be applied, or how to actually apply that if you actually are dealing with a problem. Okay, so if you missed last class or you have not got time to look into that, today is your chance to understand this, because this is going to be really important as two variable systems or higher dimensional systems, 2, 3, 4 variable systems, how to draw the phase plane, how to understand the phase portrait, the flows, flow lines on 2D system or more variable systems. This is the time that you learn. And today we will do that with the help of a very well-known model of species competition, Lotka-Valterra model. So let me just share my screen with you. So there is a set of models which are used, successfully used to model various kind of competitions that we see in several complicated dynamical systems. And one of such model that we will take into account today is the rabbits versus sheeps model. So the point of this model is that we will consider a simple case, but by now you have grown to be quite smart to understand that these are just some toy models which are applicable to varieties of different scenarios, different systems. So this is basically a model of competition. So as you can see that rabbits and sheep are not predator and prey. Okay, so this is not a predator-prey model. Like they are not like tigers and deers in a forest, right? Their competition is of different kind. It is not a predator-prey model, which is also another kind of a competition where you have two species when one is a predator, another one is prey. But here we have a competition based on resource. So you have one resource and both the parties, both the species involved in the competition are interested in the same resource. Okay, so here the resource I'm talking about basically food supply. So just consider that in a grass area you have some sheep and some rabbits, and sheep are bigger in size, so they eat more, and they also can just beat rabbits up when they try to find food, right? So suppose a small rabbit has went and got some grass, but a sheep can just simply come and throw that rabbit away and eat that grass. Okay, so that is kind of their strength. They can do that. On the other hand, rabbits, they also are interested in the same grass. They are smaller in size, but their requirement is less. But their problem is that sheep are much more powerful than these species. What is the power of rabbits? They can grow in numbers very fast, right? So compared to sheep, the rabbits, their number will grow very fast, and that is one competition that the rabbits place in front of the sheep. So you can simply, by whatever I have said by now, you can understand this is a very much apt model for marketing competitions. Two companies with different perspective, targeting the same market, same people. You can think of that. Vote bank, people with different agenda targeting the same voters. Similar kind of models can be thought. You can think of some model of your own model. Same resource, two parties interested with two different strengths. So how do we model this particular system? Today our goal is to see a nonlinear system which is coupled. So we are going beyond linear systems now. We will take a nonlinear system which is coupled, and we will see that how can I draw the entire phase portrait by considering linear stability analysis and by linearizing the system around the fixed points. So we start by formulating a model. What we will do is we will consider logistic equation, which you already know by now, logistic growth for each of the populations, to just consider how they grow in number independently. Okay, so two logistic equations for both the species will suffice to consider that how their number will increase with time, with the carrying capacity that the grass field, the food is limited, it is not infinite. So that restriction is always there. Even if one species is there, that restriction is there. To incorporate the other species into the picture, what we do here is that we take into account of another negative term in the logistic equation. So here you can see the first two terms. First, this one is the exponential growth. The second one is the logistic limitation, which you already know. The third one is a term dependent on the other species. Okay, and it's a negative term. So it tells you that if the other species grows in number, okay, if the other species grows in number, then there is a less possibility of you getting the food, because when these two will interact, only one of them will get the food. Okay, so to consider the peer pressure, you can say, consider the pressure from the other species, you incorporate this negative term, okay, minus AS for in the rabbits equation. So this is the number of rabbit, how they are growing, and this is the number of sheep, how they are growing. So the first part is the logistic equation. The last part is a decay term, which is a coupled term, also is the term contributing for the coupling, which tells you directly that if they meet, then only one of them get the food, and that depends on the number. If one is more in number, that can also dominate. So this is how we model our system with two differential equations which are coupled. So if you look at the form of these equations and we want to find the fixed points, then we have to equate both the equations to zero. So this is the drill, you know that this is the drill. So we have to equate both the equations as zero and find out what is the solution, and then we can conclude about what is going to happen to the system in long term. Who will survive? Rabbits will survive, sheep will survive, they both can coexist, none will survive. What will happen? Okay, several different futures can happen in a system, right? So you can conclude based on the fixed points. If the fixed points that you get corresponds to high values of rabbit and low values of sheep, and that's a stable fixed point, then you can say that okay, so there is a huge possibility that the rabbits will dominate finally. And you also figure out the parameter space from where it happens, seeing the flow line. So today we will do this entire drill, and you will see that how we can conclude about this system from this equation. So up to this point, the formulation of the model is fine. Any doubts there? The formulation of the model, the two equations are okay?
Yes.
Okay, so we will simplify this. Here I have so many constants, and I want to simplify, get rid of one or two constants if possible. So what I will do is I will write these equations in this simpler form, where I have included this RS and RR, the growth rates, inside this equation. Okay, so I took this inside, then only R and S I have replaced by X and Y. These are the sheep's population and rabbit's population. And here I have coupled these two parameters together into only one parameter. Okay, and here I have the X term, here I have the Y term. Okay, so this is how I write down the two equations getting rid of one parameter. So this is how you trim your number of parameters. That is always better if you can trim your number of parameters. That gives you a restrictive phase space. So that is what we have done here. Now I have chosen some values for these parameter values for this system to see that how the system evolves. So I want you all to take these two equations into account. Okay, so just consider that this is the equation of evolution for rabbits, and this is the equation for time evolution of sheep's population, and try to figure out the fixed points. Tell me what are the fixed points that I can get. The first fixed point is obviously 0, 0, because if you equate these to 0, then x equal to 0, y equal to 0 is obviously a default fixed point, right? This is a trivial fixed point that you always get. So that is one solution. Here I have written. Okay. From the rest of it, you can also get 3 more solutions. So try and figure out those solutions. Try and figure out those solutions. See if you are getting all these 4 solutions or not.
Yes, ma'am. This point is fixed one. Yeah,
All the points
0.
are fine, right? So all the 4 points, right? So from
Yes,
this point onwards, let us shift to pen and paper, and we will let me just switch on camera. So 4 fixed points, right? 4 fixed points I find from there. But I don't really know what is the meaning of getting these fixed points and are they stable or unstable? Is this basically pointing out one of the possible futures of the system or not? Okay, so we're tracking xt and yt and seeing that if these fixed points are stable or unstable or saddle or what it is. So we'll use that trick that we learned in the last class, that is linearization. So if you see your model is not linear at all. Here you have x squared terms, xy terms, both are non-linear terms, right? Only x and y terms, there are only a single term which is a linear term. Rest of them are all non-linear terms. But what we have learned in the last class is that we can linearize this equation. Linearizing means that as if you are considering small perturbation, just like the linear stability analysis that we did in 1D, and we'll consider systems very close to the fixed point. Okay, with small perturbation, we'll see that what will happen if I perturb the system a little bit, and what will happen then. Okay, so will it come back? Will it move away? That is what we will find out. And we saw that here our guiding angel for this is going to be the Jacobian matrix. The Jacobian matrix for this set of equations that I have A. Okay, let us write down that. So that is going to be. So if your equations are x dot is equal to fxy and y dot is equal to gxy. Okay. If your equations are this, then f and g are the two equations. These are the two quantities that you equated to 0 to figure out the solutions, right? So these are going to be your functions to calculate the Jacobian. So here you will find Jacobian as del f, del x, del f, del y, that is the x dot function, x dot equal to whatever function it was, take derivatives, del g, del x, del g, del y. Calculate these quantities. Okay, let us calculate these quantities and see what do we get. So this is linear stability analysis for more variable systems. Okay, if you move to higher dimensional systems, then how to do the linear stability. So what will be del f del x? Tell me quickly. 3 minus 2x, right? Right? Minus 2y. Is it okay?
Yes.
Fine. Fine. So tell me the rest of the terms. What should I write here? Minus 2x, right? Simple partial derivatives. Do it. Minus y here. Okay. 2 minus x minus 2y. Very good. 2 minus x minus 2y here. This is our guiding angel. This matrix is going to tell us what is the fate of each and every fixed point. Okay. Now what will we do? Now we will consider the 4 fixed points one by one in turn. Okay. And we'll see that what is the value of this A matrix at each and every fixed point. So A at 0, 0. That is the first fixed point that we had. Okay. So let us put the value here. We'll put x equal to 0, y is equal to 0. What do we get? 3, 0, 0, 2. Right? So this is my A at 0, 0. Okay. Next job is to find the eigenvalues of this matrix. Next job is to find the eigenvalues of this matrix. So here we already see that the matrix is diagonalized, right? Rest of the elements are 0. So the matrix has eigenvalues 3 and 2, that is for sure. So for this particular point 0, 0, I have lambda is equal to 3 and 2. Okay, both the lambdas are positive. So what does that mean? Both the lambdas are positive because these lambdas will be signifying the exponential decay or exponential growth. So whatever is in power of this exponential, if you give a little bit perturbation to the system, okay, that is the derivation that we did in the last class. If you give a little bit perturbation to the system, it will either exponentially grow or exponentially decay. For one variable system, it was just f prime x star, right? You had an equation x dot is equal to fx and f prime x star at the value fixed point x equal to x star. You figure out the value and you put it in on top of exponential. If it is positive, then it was exponentially blowing up, so it was an unstable fixed point. If it is negative, then it was exponentially coming down, it was a stable fixed point. Here I have both the lambdas as positive, right? So the trajectories should be leading to an unstable node. So this is an unstable node. Okay, 0, 0 is unstable node. Do we understand this? 0,
Yes.
0 is unstable node. Okay. Okay. So now in the phase space, if I ask you to draw, say this is x and this is y. Okay. If I ask you that you draw the phase space and tell me how the trajectories will look like for this point 0, 0. So 0, 0 is here, right? 0, 0 is here and we know that is an unstable fixed point. Okay. My analysis tells me that is an unstable node. Okay, unstable fixed point. So how will the trajectories look? They will simply come out of it, right? They will come out of it. Okay, but which eigenvector will tell you that which direction they will bend? Can you tell me from the values of the eigenvectors?
Three, ma'am.
Think about it. Think about it. The trajectories are leaving the origin, right? The trajectories are leaving the origin. Okay. So the trajectories are leaving the origin and the eigenvector corresponding to both these eigenvalues, you can figure that out. Okay. So tangential to these eigenvectors, the trajectories will bend. Okay. Tangential to these eigenvectors, the eigenvectors, the trajectories will bend. So this is kind of a general rule. Just remember this as a thumb rule that trajectories are tangential to the slow eigendirection. Tangential to the slow eigendirection. That is the small eigenvalue. Okay. Trajectories will be, so this is kind of a thumb rule to remember. Trajectories will be tangent to the slow eigendirection. Okay, tangent to the slow eigendirection. That is how you draw the phase portrait. So if you see that the lambda is equal to 2 here is the small eigen value and the corresponding eigenvector will be 0, 1. Okay, so the eigen direction is along the y-axis. 0, 1 is along the y-axis. So they will be looking like this, leaving but in a direction where it is tangential to the slow eigendirection. Okay. So this is kind of a general thumb rule. Just remember that at the node, this is how we draw the trajectories. Okay. Now let us talk about some other fixed points. So let us, which fixed point? Let us say 0, 2. So if I ask you what is going to happen at 0, 2, can you do the same exercise that we did and tell me that what will happen at 0, 2. Take the same matrix and tell me.
Ma'am, but why are you ignoring the other eigenvector?
Yeah, so that is kind of a interesting question. That I have two eigenvalues, right? 3 and 2. So at 0, 0, which one will dominate? That is the question. At 0, 0, when you are seeing that both the solutions are 0, right? Both the solutions are 0 there. Which eigendirection will dominate? Now, the strong eigendirection should dominate, right? Then the bending should be tangential to the slow one. If the strong one dominates, then the bending should be tangential to the slow one. Do you get my point? Because you have to decide that which way it should bend, right? Are you getting the point?
No, ma'am, actually, I did not.
Okay, so so the 3 is the more powerful eigendirection, right? 3 is the more powerful eigendirection. So the trajectory should go towards it, right? So how will you decide that this will be like this or like this or like that? Okay, if you have to decide that, how will you choose? Because you have already diagonalized the matrix, right? You only know that these two are the eigenvalues of the Jacobian. It is not, just don't confuse with the linear system, okay? Because it is not your original system where you are seeing the original eigendirections. Here you have linearized the system. You are only dealing with the Jacobian, okay? So this is the more strong eigendirection if you linearize the system, if you see very close to the fixed point, okay? So if this is the strong eigen value, that is the strong eigendirection will correspond to its eigenvector, okay? And if that way it pulls more, then which way it will bend? That is the question I am asking. So bending direction, okay, so the bending direction would be just opposite to that, isn't it? Because if one side is going very fast and the other side is going slow, so the bending, how will you decide which way to bend your trajectories? Okay?
Yeah.
I'm sure you will get it. I'm sure you will get it. If maybe you are getting a bit confused, I'm just giving you a thumb rule that which way to bend it. So bend it in a way so that the slow eigendirection is tangential to it. Okay? So that is the kind of you already drew these trajectories, and there we had the linear system, and you know how to deal, how to decide. I understand that. I am just giving you a thumb rule that if the slow eigendirection will not grow that much, right? So that is why it will bend towards the other one. So the slow eigendirection will remain. So thus it bends like that. So I guess it is clear, right? You will understand it if you just try to draw it on your own. You will understand. So let us go to the next solution, 0, 2. We are dealing with that. So tell me what the matrix becomes now at 0, 2. What is the Jacobian value that I have? Just plug in the values of the fixed point. Put the values in and tell me what the values are. So in the same
1, 0,
yes, -1, then
0,
0. In this line,
-2.
-2, -2, right? -2, -2. Okay. Is it correct? Yeah, it is correct, I guess. 0, -1, 0, 0, -2, -2. I guess this is right. Okay. Got it, everyone? So triangular matrix, right? It's a triangular matrix. It's a triangular matrix. One element is already 0 here. Okay. So there are some tricks to find out eigenvalues. I guess you are preparing for NET, and also you know these tricks, and you need to use this while doing your matrix manipulations. So if you have a triangular matrix 2 cross 2, one element is already 0, then what are the eigenvalues? These two are the eigenvalues. Okay, no doubt about it, because one side is already 0. Okay, so lambda will be -1 and -2. Inspection. This is the triangular matrix. So that's why lambda will be -1 and -2. You can figure that out. You can calculate and see. This will be -1 and -2 only. Okay, and you can just look at the characteristic equation. You will understand why it is, right? So if you have a triangular matrix, one side is 0, then you can consider that whatever is sitting in the diagonal, they are your lambdas. Okay, so that is kind of a trick to quickly solve your problem. So both the lambdas are negative. Again, think about the exponential. On top of the exponential, you have to put that and see that how fluctuations will grow in both the eigen directions. Okay, so what do we see? Both of them are negative. So this fixed point will be, what will be 0, 2? Both of them are negative. So e to the power stable, right? E to the power something minus. So it will, whatever it is, it will always decay. So you have a stable node. So you get the point that how to deal with this nonlinear system and conclude about this. So if I want to draw this on the diagram, if I want to draw this, so then how will I draw? So 0, 2 will be somewhere here. This is x, this is y. 0, 2 will be somewhere on the y-axis. Okay. So again, just remember that bending it in such a way so that it bends to it has its I mean the trajectories will approach the eigen direction associated to a smaller one. So that is how they bend. So just draw the eigenvector to the smaller eigenvalue and draw the rest of the trajectories in such a way that they go in that direction. Okay, so they are all the trajectories are supposed to converge onto that fixed point because it's a stable node. From any possible direction it will come and go inside. But see, we are dealing with the linearized model of it because I am dealing with a Jacobian, so I will not draw in the rest of the picture. I don't know what is going to happen in the rest of the phase space. I will just draw in a close proximity to the fixed point. Similarly, if you see that what is going to happen at 3, 0, you will see that the A is -3, -6, 0, -1. Okay, with both the lambdas -3 and -1 again, because again it's a triangular matrix. Okay, so you have already the eigenvalues sitting there, -3 and -1. You draw again on the phase space again. So this is my x, this is my y. 3, 0 will be somewhere sitting here on the x-axis, right? Okay. Again, they will be coming towards it because it's a stable fixed point. Both of them are negative. So you have a stable fixed point. They will be coming towards it. Write this. Okay. What about the last solution? A11. Put the value 1, 1. So A becomes, if I put the value 1, 1, what do I have as my Jacobian matrix? What will be the Jacobian matrix?
-1, -2.
-2.
-1,
-1. Very good. -1, -2, -1, -1. This one I have to work out. I have no idea what its fixed points are. So I have to work this out. So you solve this, and what you will find is that one of the solutions are going to be positive and the other one is going to be negative. Okay, this one is going to be a saddle. So just check that for me, where you will see that one of the eigenvalues are positive and one of the eigenvalues are negative. Okay, so you have two eigenvalues. One side is attracting it, other side is repelling it. You have a saddle in the picture. So if I want to draw on the xy plane, this is x, this is y. 1, 1 will be somewhere here, right? 1, 1 will be somewhere here, and along the two directions, eigen directions, you have to figure that out as well. The two eigen directions, say this is one direction, which is the repelling direction, and this is one direction, which is the attractor direction. Okay. So you check this for me, that what are the lambda values that you get and what are your eigenvectors, which one is your stable manifold, which one is your unstable manifold. You can figure that out. Okay. But just remember that whatever analysis we are doing, we are doing it in a linearized system. So all the lines that I draw here, no? all the curves that I draw here are not actually correct. You are only allowed to draw small lines, small lines which can be considered approximation as a linear motion. Okay. Now I have all the 4 pictures together. Now I have the 4 diagrams that I have drawn. This one for the saddle, this one for one fixed point, this one for other fixed point, and this one for the other fixed point. So 1, 2, 3, 4 pictures I have. Okay. Now my job is to couple it together. So what information I gathered one by one from all the fixed points, I have to couple it together to draw a single phase portrait for this system. So let me try and draw it, and I will ask you all to follow me on this. Try to draw this entire diagram into a single picture. Okay. So here I have X, here I have Y. I had 4 points to begin with. Here at 0, 0, I had 1 point. Here at 3, 0, 1, 0, 2, 1, and 1, 1, 1. 4 solutions I had. I found that 0, 0 was an unstable fixed point. I found that 1, 1 was a saddle. I found these 2 were stable. So let me just draw what I already drew. I drew this kind of lines. Can you see it clearly? I drew this kind of lines for 0, 0. Okay. I drew this kind of converging lines for both these fixed points, which are stable nodes. Okay. And I drew a set of stable and unstable manifolds where one side I considered to be attractor, not considered, calculated. You will calculate that and you will see. And the other side was the repeller, the unstable manifold. Okay. So this was my picture from the linearized approximation considering the Jacobian, right? So Jacobian actually ignored the higher order terms and it gave you a picture of linearized system. So I only drew it in the close proximity of the fixed points. So from here, can I complete the phase portrait? Can I just extend these lines and do they fall into place? Do they all join? In fact, they do, right? So if I just join this is an arrow going in this direction. I can join this with this line and they go inside nicely, right? And this becomes my stable manifold. If I expand these lines, all these lines, they are coming out, they are happily going into the fixed point that is lying here. Even from here, they can go and join in. Okay. This was repelling, but this was attracting. So you can simply join these two and they nicely fall in. So it can start from here to end up there. This was bending like this. This can go like this and come back and enter here. Okay. And this gives me a complete phase portrait of this system that I have here. This tells you that with what initial conditions, if you start, at what point you are supposed to end. Okay. So this is the complete phase portrait which we drew kind of as an extrapolation that was not supplied from the linear stability analysis from the Jacobians, but we drew that as an extrapolation of our linear stability analysis, and this actually tells you that how good this linear approximation can be. Even if you consider the higher order terms not that much, only in terms of the velocity component, you just saw the Jacobian and from there you considered the system. That gives you a pretty good idea of how the system will behave and from where you start to end at which fixed point. As I said in the last class, this works absolutely well for attractors and repellers like stable nodes, unstable nodes, and stable spirals, unstable spirals. And this technique does not work, sometimes gives you wrong result only for centers. Okay, so centers are not that stable, as you have already seen, or both the real parts go off, it's completely zero, only the oscillatory parts are there. That is why it's not that a very, what should I say, rigid, robust solution. That is why we miss that sometimes, but the rest can be done. Okay, so now what is your conclusion about the system? So remember, we are talking about a rabbit and sheep system, right? So what do you see? What can happen in this kind of a system? Is coexistence possible in this kind of a system? Coexistence possible? Both of the species?
Unstable.
It's an unstable solution. It's not possible, right? It's an unstable solution. 0, 0 is unstable. Why? We already know that, right? Because once it is, if it is no sheep and no rabbit is there, it's fine. If 1 or 2 comes into the picture, then you cannot put it there. So it is 0. This is the same reason for the logistic term, right? In logistic growth also, we had this 0, 0 unstable solution. This is that only. This one is also a solution, but this is unstable. This, what we see here, is called principle of competitive exclusion. That is true for all the industries, all the everywhere where there is a competition between two species with different agenda. This is true. If you let one of them in, that will drive completely the other out. You either have a solution here where the other is only rabbits or only sheep. You don't have a solution where some of them are rabbits and some of them are sheep. It's an unstable solution. It will never occur. Okay, so this gives you a quite good physical idea about this entire model of competition where no predator or prey is involved, no one is eating up someone, but it is just a competition with different agenda. Okay, and I will just conclude by mentioning one or two nomenclature. This entire region that I have here, is called the basin of attraction. Basin of attraction of this fixed point, because if you start anywhere from here, you are always going to end up here. So this is the basin for 3, 0. Okay, this is the basin of attraction for 3, 0. Similarly, the other side is the basin of attraction of the other solution. And the line separating them, this line that separates them, is called separatrix. Okay, separatrix. X ends with an X. Okay, so basin of attraction and separatrix. These are the two new nomenclatures that we define here, and I will stop here for today. If you have any doubts, any questions, please ask and try to understand physically interpreting what we discussed today. It's a very, very deep principle that lies at the heart of every competition. Okay, principle of exclusion, competitive exclusion. Okay, so I will stop here. Yeah, tell me.
So I am asking that in which we are dealing, that is it only the prediction is possible, and or if we could make some manipulation like doing something to the system and make
the coexistence possible. Make the coexistence possible. Yes, that's a very, very good question. You can actually try to see that what can I do, and that is a very good question from the computational or nonlinear dynamical perspective, because that is what you do, right? If you want a system where both of the parties will be there, then you have to see that how can I change my equation and what should be the approach. If you are changing the equation, that basically reflects on the approach of both the species, right? So from there you can see that is there some approach by which I can encourage coexistence. For example, I can give you a very nice quick example that in society we always have two kinds of people. One who are happy to take help but never helps other people, and other species who also help people and also they are happy to take help. Everyone is happy to take help from people, but they are open or willing to help others. Okay, so if I call these two people cooperators and defectors don't help but take help. Okay, they take help from people, take money from people, take all the benefits from people, but don't go and help others. So if you think from the perspective, they are the benefited, they are always benefited, right? Those who take help and don't help others, they, from monetary perspective or all others, they are always benefited. So, and the cooperators who help others, they always are in a less amount of benefit because they are not getting enough money or enough benefit from the other side, right? So if this goes on, then this system must lead to a scenario where only defectors are there, no cooperator is there, no one will take that strategy, no one will want to be a cooperator, right? Cooperators will die off simply like this rabbit and sheep model, right? No cooperator will be there, no one will try to help other people. If that is the scenario, then from whom the defectors are going to take help? As soon as every cooperator goes off the picture, the defectors are not there because defectors will not be able to take help from anyone. No one helps anyone, right? So that is a society of completely people who don't cooperate with anyone. So that society cannot survive. So even when the cooperators are at less benefit, we are at a society of coexistence. It is not an unstable fixed point. We have both kind of people here, right? Where people are willing to help, people are taking help and not giving any help from their side, but both of them are coexisting. So this equation must be a little bit different from whatever we are dealing with here, right? So that can happen, but you have to think that why that happens. Okay, why that happens, how can I change my system to make that happen, that this scenario of coexistence, it comes into the picture. This is a question, the question that I just raised is a question that intrigued people for like 40-50 years, that why this happens, why some people still go on and help others though they know that they will not get help from the other side. Okay, and how our society, basically that is the principle of our society, otherwise the society would not be there. Okay, so that is coexistence. You can always tweak your model. So to answer your question, you can always tweak your model and see that what makes the picture change and what makes coexistence come into the picture. Okay, so nice question. Anything else?